going to be covering is who Slide is and why we exist. But now, since our founders weren't able to be here today, Austin and Michael, I thought it'd be a good idea to start out with a quick video from them so they can give you a better idea of who Slide is and why the MSP community means so much to them. So let's go ahead and take a look.
My name is Michael Fyffe, co-founder and CEO of Slide. I worked with Austin McCord very closely for about 10 years.
My story is that I like building stuff. I built Datto, I built a robot combat league and a venture capital firm, and I'm building an incredible publicly accessible park in Connecticut. Even though I was no longer involved with Datto, I still felt very connected to the MSP space. It felt like everything in the market had sort of stalled out. There was this unique moment of like, could we bring these incredibly talented people together, and the team that happens to know and have a lot of experience wasn't at Datto anymore.
Slide is a modern, security-first, appliance-based business continuity solution purpose-built for MSPs. We're committed to building products that keep getting better. MSPs that partner with us will see their products becoming more valuable over time as they get better and better.
Everything's different about Slide. Almost every competitive product is 20 years old or older. It starts at the hardware, and when you make bigger and bigger disks, they actually become less performant. All of these legacy backup solutions have gotten worse as time has gone on. This is a chance to be like, let's just start over. There's not a single piece of spinning storage in the entire product line. So the on-prem devices all use high-speed PCI Express directly attached flash, whether that's in the form of an NVMe module or a U.2. And we're building that cloud entirely from scratch. So we're not running in a public cloud. And that creates this foundation to deliver an experience that's dramatically different than anything else.
Our first product, Z1, it's new, it's modern, it's more secure, it's faster, it's better.
We're most excited to show partners what we've built. We call them partners, they are partners, and we just really internalized that. And it meant that we needed to be there for them. We've got to be really responsive, leaning into the service side and that alignment side.
We want to make sure that MSPs know we have their backs and know if something comes up, they get us anytime they need us.
We've spent a bunch of time building a product that we think is head and shoulders above anything else in the industry. And we think that when MSPs see it, it will be clear that it's going to deliver so many advantages. It's going to help them run a better business, and it's going to help protect their end users better than anything else in the market. And that's the reason that MSPs should choose Slide.
Okay, so just a quick recap for the video. Slide is a backup company, and we plan on backing up all of your digital assets no matter where they live. We did start with this on-prem BCDR solution, and the reasoning behind that is because it is by far the most complex problem to solve when it comes to backup. This also lays the foundation for everything else that we're going to build out here at Slide, which we'll talk about later at the booth and in our solutions track. But now that we understand who Slide is, let's dive into the why Slide's here. And that story of why Slide exists actually starts at the beginning of your IT journey. Quick disclaimer before giving some dates, though. I know that some of these are approximate dates, so nobody come over to me after and saying that it's 6 months later or after. But when we talk about the beginning of the IT journey, I'm sure a lot of you here have started out as a break fix. Who in here remembers tape backups? Yeah. I'm glad that you all do. I personally don't, but I know my colleagues here do remember tape backups. But then we saw that the landscape advanced, right? Tape backups turned to cloud backups, turned to image-based BCDR, and we start seeing this transition from break fix to MSP. And then we evolve again. So we see that the threat landscape increases. This has forced MSPs to step up their security game. And so we started seeing a boom of MSPs transition to MSSPs. And then what we saw is that there was more cyber attacks. Cybercrime became a multi-billion-dollar industry, which leads us to where we are today. It doesn't matter what your business model is, you have to be security first to survive. But the reason why I'm up here today isn't to give you the journey of the MSP journey. It's actually to talk about this red dot right here. This red dot marks the last time that there was any innovation when it comes to backup and BCDR. So when Austin and Michael realized that, they realized that was over 16 years ago. But think about what's changed. AI is booming. MSP's business model has changed. The threat landscape has not only advanced, it's professionalized, but backup technology stayed the same. And so what they asked themselves when they were looking at this timeline on here is, are legacy backup tools, are they still solving today's problems? Or is there a need for a backup company to come into fruition here that's not only solving today's problem, but looking at the next problem for the next 10, 15 years? And so when Austin and Michael had that conversation, they thought about these 4 items over here. Quick, before I go over this though, just a quick definition between backup and BCDR. So backup, it's backup. It's a copy of a file. Versus BCDR, which is business continuity and disaster recovery. While this includes backups, this is also a comprehensive system that focuses on business operations when there's a disaster. So let's say that your client does have a disaster, there's a hardware failure. With backup, it's going to take you hours or day to get them back up and running, versus BCDR is going to be a matter of minutes. So now that we have that quick definition, we'll go over this first key item on here. When Austin and Michael were looking at what happened in 2010, business's biggest fear, it was hardware failure or natural disasters like a flood. And when you as the MSP called them up during a disaster and you said, hey, don't worry, we can take yesterday's backup, give me 3 to 5 days, they said thank you, right? Because being down for a week and losing a day's worth of data was just the cost of doing business at that time. Try to have that same conversation with your clients today. It doesn't work. Especially with manufacturing firms, health and medical, law firms, accounting firms. If they're down for more than an hour, even less than that, they're panicking because they know that they're losing thousands of dollars of revenue each hour, not to mention the reputation damage that they're having. And so what we've seen, what Austin and Michael saw, was that backup used to be a luxury versus now we're seeing that BCDR is a necessity for businesses to thrive today. So they looked at that, and they looked at the threat landscape, which used to just be if there was a ransomware attack, your backups had you covered. But threat actors got smart over time, and they realized the only thing in their way from getting $1 million payout was those backups. And so they started targeting those backups and deleting those backups before ever dropping the payload. So we see that that's completely changed. And then when it comes to compliance and cyber insurance, compliance back in the day used to just be for niche markets, HIPAA for health and medical, GLBA for banking. And cyber insurance policies just used to be 1 page, and it was check marks. Do you have a backup, yes or no? But we saw two major changes here. The first one is when enterprise breaches started and supply chain attacks. We started to see that underwriters, it prompted them to create more business frameworks, right, that got standardized throughout everybody. So we started seeing NIST, ISO, SOC 2. And with cyber insurance policies, we saw that during the ransomware epidemic, insurers lost billions. And so those 1-page checklists turned into something that was 20 to 40 pages long, designed to make sure that they don't have to pay out your clients. And we saw an increase on here when it came to backups. They're looking for an air-gapped immutable copy. They're looking for documented plans of your DR plan and making sure that you're testing that out. And then lastly, I know we're going to be talking about AI a lot during this conference, but 15 years ago, this is more of a buzzword talking about if-then automations. Versus now, AI is completely revolutionizing the way that you all operate. And what we're seeing is with AI-first MSPs and the vendors that they're looking for a vendor who, one, has an open API, because we know AI is only as good as the tools that it integrates with, but they also know that they need to work with a vendor who understands the security risks of integrating AI with critical business systems. And so when Austin and Michael went back to this, they saw this. They realized that everything's changed since then. And that's why they decided to come to market. They created Slide, they called up the best engineers on the planet, clean room, new code, everything starting fresh. And there's a lot here that I won't cover today, but the 4 key items are these up on here. So the first one, faster everything. We don't use any spinning disks. It's NVMe hardware throughout, so you can have near instant virtualizations. It's what you need to help protect your client's data and ensure uptime. Security. It wasn't an afterthought with us. And what we've seen with a lot of legacy tools is there's add-on features for security, for encryption. Some of those are hidden behind paywalls, versus ours is natively encrypted and transited at rest. You can't turn it off. Makes it a lot easier to scale with confidence. The third one on here, sure, you can have a great product, but if you don't have a great support team, it's impossible to scale and have trust in a company. And so when you have a disaster, if you ever call, and we know you're calling when it's probably your client's worst day ever, our engineers answer the phone on average in 21 seconds. And these aren't people that were working at a different company a month ago. These people have ample experience in BCDR and can get technical with you on that same call. But this is what makes up our MSP first business model. We are here to earn your business every single day, and we look forward to gaining that trust with you every single day as well. And so I'll leave you all with a challenge. When you are looking at your security stack, make sure that you're looking to see where the threat landscape, where the AI landscape is today. Are legacy tools cutting it? Or does it make sense to work with the modern company who's solving today's problems and problems for the next 15 years?